There's no hostage deal because Hamas doesn't want one. That's what Israel's prime minister shared with the cabinet. He said Hamas returned to demanding an end to the war as a precondition for the deal. Last week, Hamas said they would only provide a list of living hostages after a ceasefire. Did you catch that? Hamas won't even tell Israel which captives are alive unless Israel first allows Hamas to regroup. Recall what else Hamas is demanding? The release of some of the bloodiest murderers from Israel's prisons. Hamas is demanding Israel capitulate without releasing the hostages so it can hold onto hostages for insurance while planning more October 7th. Hamas has rejected every hostage deal. Remember, on April 27th, US Secretary of State Blinken said Israel made an extraordinary generous offer. On May 31st, Israel agreed to US-backed proposal. Hamas refused. On August 16th, Israel agreed to an American final bridging proposal. Hamas refused. On August 19, Secretary Blinken said Israel accepted the US proposal, now Hamas must do the same. On August 21st, US Deputy CIA head said Israel shows seriousness in the negotiations. Now Hamas must show the same seriousness. On September 5th, after Hamas executed hostages, a Biden official even questioned Hamas's willingness to do a deal of any kind. Does anyone think that Hamas wants to release hostages? Israel wants a deal to bring our hostages home from Hamas's terror dungeons today. Israel wants a deal that won't allow Hamas to kidnap more hostages tomorrow. Israel wants a deal that won't allow Hamas to execute more innocent people ever. The war that Hamas declared on the people of Israel cannot end with the hostages in Gaza and Hamas on its feet. The people of Israel need the 3 Ds: destroy Hamas, demilitarize Gaza, and de-radicalize Gazan society. If Hezbollah returns, Israel won't leave. Israel may not withdraw from southern Lebanon after 60 days because Lebanon's army isn't taking control. The Lebanon ceasefire has rules. It won't work unless the rules are followed. Israel removed Hezbollah from southern Lebanon. Israel began withdrawing from southern Lebanon. Lebanon's army was supposed to take Israel's places so Hezbollah doesn't return to the border. Lebanon's army is not taking Israel's place quickly, so Israel isn't able to leave quickly. This isn't theoretical. Since November 27th, Hezbollah already violated ceasefires 120 times. Israel eliminated 40 Hezbollah terrorists threatening Israel. Some were also caught near Israel's border. Last week, Israel struck Hezbollah weapons being smuggled in from Syria. Israel found more Hezbollah attack tunnels full of weapons. Israel also found Hezbollah weapons and rockets in civilian areas, including a pharmacy. Hezbollah joined Iran's war on Israel's people on October 8, 2023. More than 60,000 Israelis were forced to flee their homes because Hezbollah was trying to murder them. Those people cannot return home unless Hezbollah threat is removed. UN Security Council Resolution 1701 didn't stop Hezbollah. The UN's UNIFIL forces didn't stop Hezbollah. And Lebanon's army didn't stop Hezbollah. The international community is not going to do Israel's work for it. Israel will not withdraw just to say it withdrew, if that endangers Israel's people. Israel is saying this time things will be different. Israel will not allow Hezbollah or anyone else to again threaten its people. Now, before I take questions, I'd like to add a personal note. Tomorrow night, we'll welcome 2025. This past year, 2024, was challenging, deeply so for us Israelis and for the entire region. Today marks 451 days since Hamas launched its brutal war and massacre against Israel, and still 100 of our people remain hostage in Gaza. It has been a year of war, defending our borders on 7 fronts against Iran and its proxies, in Gaza, in the north with Hezbollah, in Syria, the West Bank, Iraq, and Yemen, where the Houthi regime has intensified its attacks. Even Iran itself targeted us directly with drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles, determined to bring us to our knees. But we will not kneel. We will not break. I'm Israeli. I'm Lebanese. I'm Christian. And I'm proud to stand as an ally of the Jewish people. I know there are others like me, courageous and outspoken, and some who are still silent out of fear. To those still hesitating, your support matters. Let 2025 be the year you find your voice and break free from fear. May this year be a year of freedom, a year when our hostages return home, a year of healing, rebuilding, and strengthening the bridges between us, a year when peace spreads further, expanding the Abraham Accords and fostering new agreements, perhaps even with Lebanon, Syria, Saudi Arabia, and way beyond. As one of my favorite songs says, for near and the dear one, the old and the young, for weak and for strong, for rich and the poor ones, for black and for white, for yellow and red ones. War is over if you want it. War is over now. I wish you a happy new year. Let's hope it's a good one, without any fear. Together, we can make it so. Now let's take some questions from our audience watching live on social media.
Our first question comes from Phil on Instagram. At the moment, it's Hanukkah in Israel. What is the environment like given the rocket and missile attacks in Israel?
Thank you very much, Phil, for your question. First of all, Israel is still celebrating Hanukkah and also celebrating Christmas and New Year's Eve, of course, tomorrow. This is something that we have always promised ourselves to no matter what happens, we're going to continue and look forward. And also, this is the message of Hanukkah, the light of the candles that stayed lit for days to make sure that the people of Israel would survive and keep on fighting and going. This is basically the same thing that is happening today. We are continuing to fight for freedom and for the good, for the better good of our people, of our nation, of everyone else that is facing the same threat that we are facing around the world. This is something that is super meaningful for us all. When we gather in the evening to light the candles of Hanukkah, we're always reminded of that. Although I'm not Jewish, but I've been always celebrating this holiday with my friends because this is something that we need to remember, to light the candle and continue on with our lives, hoping that this time the miracle of Hanukkah will be bringing our hostages back home.
Thank you for that. Adam Zucker from Instagram is asking, who in Syria is helping smuggle arms to Hezbollah?
Thank you very much, Adam, for this important question. Well, the situation in Syria is still not to be realized who's going to take over 100% after the Assad regime fell. And this is something that is super important. Iran's proxies are still positioned inside of Syria, and they are still trying to pass rockets, missiles, and weapons to Hezbollah that is located in Lebanon. That's why Israel is making sure that, one, Syria's weapons itself, the chemical weapons, its navy, its ballistic missiles, won't turn into the wrong hands by having jihadis hold into that. I don't think anyone in the world wants jihadis to hold onto those stockpiles of weapons. Second of all, like I mentioned, Iran's proxies are still located inside of Syria and are still trying to regain back Hezbollah's power that was lost because Israel made sure to down it to about 20% of its missiles that they still hold today. And this is something that Israel wouldn't allow to happen. That's why Israel is making sure that Hezbollah will not be able to rearm, regroup, and threaten Israel again and infiltrate. Let's not forget that Hezbollah's main addition was to go and make October 7th, but in a wider scale. Israel eliminated that, and we need to make sure that it couldn't happen again. That's why Israel is engaging, and that's why everyone around the world needs to support Israel by continuing and destroying all of Iran's proxies and making sure that they can't threat anyone in the world.
Thank you for that. With the threat of Hamas and Hezbollah now being lessened, the Houthis are now presenting the the problem. What is the estimate on how many more Houthis need to be eliminated before that is now obliterated as well?
Well, as we have seen in the latest weeks, the Houthis have been launching more ballistic missiles towards Israel, mainly at night. Their whole mission is to disrupt our way of living, but we were not going to give in to that. We're going to stay strong and we're going to fight it back. The main issue here is that Israel needs to make sure, and its allies, as we see that also the US and the UK are also targeting Houthi missiles and military positions inside of Yemen, because they're not only attacking Israel, they're disrupting the whole shipment to the entire world, making sure that their pirate regime will stay on and basically disrupt all of our lives altogether. And that's something that Israel and its allies needs to make sure that the Houthis are not able to destroy not any more ships that are trying to sail in the sea or to disrupt our lives here in Israel. And this is something that I really hope that the whole international community, not just the US and the UK, will have joint forces to make sure that the Houthi regime that is not threatening the world, but also threatening and basically killing Yemenites in Yemen. The Yemenites need to be free. And that's something that we're also putting in our thoughts and prayers, and hopefully everyone will join in on that.
Thank you very much for that. We have another question from Instagram as told by a Jew mum. Is Sinwar's brother now calling the shots in Gaza? Is he the one who's smuggling more rockets into Gaza? Is that how they're shooting missiles and rockets from that area?
Yeah, well, as the reports say, Yahya Sinwar brother, he's the one taking the shots. It's basically he's the one leading the negotiation and making sure of basically what they want is that Hamas will be able to regroup, rearm, and make another October 7th. And that's something that Israel will not accept at any condition. And that's something that is also happening to be that Hamas smuggled throughout the years thousands of missiles inside of Gaza, and they hid them all across of Gaza, under hospitals, under schools, under mosques, under other places that are supposed to be free of weapons and basically to be able to have the Gazans have their security there. But Hamas used all of these facilities in order to store weapons. And unfortunately, we haven't got into the last missile yet. And that's why Hamas is still trying to show that they are on power, although they have lost almost completely their whole capabilities. Our mission is to make sure that that last missile will not be fired from Gaza and it will be destroyed. That's Israel's mission, alongside of, first and foremost, returning the 100 hostages that are still in Gaza for 451 days. I want to thank you all for watching, and let's remember. And let's remember, there is less than 1 week left to make your year-end gift. A generous donor is matching every donation up to $180,000, doubling your impact. Support the Israeli Citizen Spokesperson's Office and help us combat misinformation, empower allies, and ensure Israel's story is heard. Don't miss this chance. Every dollar counts twice. Click the link in our bio to make your contribution. That's all we have time for. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Israel time and 8 a.m. East Coast time. I wish you a Happy New Year and Happy Hanukkah.